Trump's culture and MAGA culture are in perfect alignment, and here's how it works. He takes their money, and they're happy to give it to him. MAGA is particularist, loyal to a person, Trump, not to laws or to rules, so they will believe anything Trump tells them. Their culture is built to follow one person, no matter what. And Trump's culture drives him to always want to win immediately, and anything shared with others is a loss to him. It's a zero-sum game. And here's how it works in real life. When Trump launched a coin called Trump, MAGA bought it because he told them to, not because of the coin or as an investment. It was, in fact, designed to make money for Trump, not his MAGA investors. MAGA bought it because Trump told them to. The coin's code took a fee on every trade and sent it to wallets linked to Trump. And Trump made money also from licensing royalties. He didn't need the price to rise. He needed people to keep buying. It shot up, and then it crashed by 98%. Nearly 1 million MAGA investors lost a combined $3.8 billion. But Trump, he made $636 million. And this is not the first time Trump has scammed MAGA. But they will never learn because they are programmed to be taken advantage of. The full analysis is free on my Substack. The link is in the bio.
You made us a campaign promise. And I remember you said it at every stop. I'm going to fix the economy and get prices more affordable. You ain't done none of that. Not even a little bit. Stores are price gouging us on tariffs. Stuff that they're putting on tariffs on. And guess what? They're made here in America. You call it like your agencies call it out, but nothing gets done. The stores aren't made to put the prices back. They're not made to fix anything. No, instead, what are they doing? Still charge us the same prices. In fact, they're raising prices even higher. And your administration is doing nothing to help that. Nothing. Not a thing. You have done absolutely nothing to help that. And I'm sorry, but like, we're struggling. Like, you're erasing the middle class. You know, you said, oh, the left, they're all about erasing the middle class. No, you are too, because you're doing the same exact thing. You're not doing anything to help us. I know you got a lot on your plate, but man, just take a day or 2 days and do something to turn around the economy in this country. People are struggling. People are losing their homes because they can't afford. They have to choose between making a car payment or putting food on their table. People are having to choose between paying their credit cards down or putting food on the table. Or they're having to max out their credit cards to pay bills because everything is so daggum expensive. Gas should be going down. We're drilling in America. Why is things so damn expensive under you this time, but last time is so much cheaper? I know the Biden administration screwed up the economy and made inflation just skyrocket. But there are things that you can do to fix it, and you need to do it.
Why do rural Americans keep voting straight red tickets and actively undermining their futures? I have an example. This is Josh Hawley. He's my rich senator, and like me, he grew up in rural Missouri. But unlike me, he did not go to his underfunded public school. He went an hour's drive away to a private school in Kansas City. His father was a bank president and saw the importance of education. It would never let his son be educated at a terrible school. That town that Josh grew up in is like 70% red, and that district is as bad as it gets in the state. It ranked 521 out of 535. But people in this community keep voting for people that write laws that make their town and schools worse. Why? I don't get it.
How do these MAGA voters not realize that Donald Trump is laughing at them? They're the same people who made him wealthy, bought his shoes, his cologne, his trading cards. They're the same people who put him back into power. And now they're the same people who are being screwed over by his disastrous policies. And genuinely, I feel for them. No American child should go hungry because of their political affiliation or how their parents voted. No parent should go hungry because of how they voted. But that's the reality we live in. And it's the reality because of Donald Trump.
A new poll has found that a majority of self-identified MAGA voters are struggling to pay for groceries, gas, healthcare, housing, and utilities. And for the first time, a significant chunk of them are pointing the finger at the government, which is a polite way of saying they're pointing it at Donald Trump. The numbers are specific enough to be very uncomfortable. 61% of MAGA respondents said they're having trouble affording groceries. 63% said the same about gas. Over half said the same about health care, housing payments, and utility bills. 54% of MAGA voters now think the government is most responsible for rising prices, and 41% of them believe what economists have been saying all along, that American consumers are the ones actually paying for Trump's tariffs, not foreign countries. Only 31% still buy Trump's version of that very story. Now, the causes aren't exactly mysterious. Health insurance costs went up after Trump ended government subsidies. Energy prices spiked after Iran throttled the Strait of Hormuz. Tariffs contributed to manufacturers cutting nearly 100,000 jobs. Farmers got hit by higher costs across the board. Rural Americans who voted for Trump by 40 points in 2024 now report their personal finances getting worse at higher rates than even right after Liberation Day, when Trump's tariff announcements sent markets into a tailspin. MAGA voters haven't left Trump, but here's the problem Democrats should be paying attention to. Among Americans who feel financially squeezed right now, only 26% think Democrats can fix it, versus 25% who think Republicans can. 36% think neither party is up to the task, and Trump is losing voters, and Democrats are not exactly picking them up. It's trending today because the poll dropped this week with 4 months until the midterms, and the specific finding that MAGA voters are blaming the government for their economic pain is the kind of data point that both parties are reading very carefully right now. I'm Hank, here to explain the chaos, not hype it. If you want clarity instead of noise, you're in the right place.
These are some of the freaking words that criminal Trump says. We're going to reduce drug prices by 1,000, maybe even 1,500%. Nobody knew healthcare could be complicated. I have the best words. The Continental Army took over the airports in 1775. The noise from windmills caused cancer. If we stop testing, we'll have fewer cases. Yeah. Toilets, you have to flush them 15 times. We're building a wall in Colorado. We must unregulate the inflationary conspirationism. What a freaking idiot. All right, if you agree that it's time for stupid Trump to go away, follow me and let's 8647 and get rid of the bastard.
He definitely made lots of promises, and he made them seem like they were going to come a lot quicker, faster than they actually were to ever come or ever will come.
Trump and MAGA keep telling rural Americans that they are the heart of the nation. Yet many communities that vote Republican year after year are still watching hospitals close, schools lose funding, roads crumble, and costs rise. At some point, patriotic branding has to answer for actual results.
The Trump spike in racism, sexism, and hate, it's the emotional foundation for the entire Make America Great Again movement. That nostalgia for when life in America was simpler and paler. But as soon as we began addressing it, boom. Extinction burst. This term is why I love science so much. You can take an idea from one field, like psychology, for example, and apply it to another field, like political science, and the principles still apply. Extinction burst is actually really simple. It's when you have a behavior and a reward, and you withdraw the reward in order to change the behavior. When you do that, usually to change an undesirable behavior, the behavior itself increases in frequency and intensity for a short period of time, until ultimately the subject changes the behavior, and then that behavior goes extinct. This is like you're at the store and you're swiping your credit card and it doesn't work, and so then you swipe your credit card like 15 more times until you're so angry you're freaking out and you're about to scream an F-bomb in the middle of Toys R Us, and then you say, I'll just pay with cash. The swiping is the behavior and the payment is the reward. So when the swiping doesn't work and you don't get the reward you need, you get madder and madder and you try it more and more until you change the behavior, which then results in the extinction of the original behavior. Now, extinction burst at the national level is much slower, but in this case, we actually know very clearly what triggered it. It was Obama's election in 2008. Sarah Palin, the Tea Party movement, the birther movement, and ultimately MAGA, it is a 10-year tsunami of rage in the face of inevitable extinction. This is why Republicans are still so angry. They know Trump winning can't stop it, and they know Trump in office can't stop it. They can feel the inevitable extinction of their own terrible beliefs. At this point, the only thing that'll stop it is if we let up. If you stop interfering with that undesirable behavior, it will go back to normal. So no, you're not crazy. Yes, you are doing the right thing, and yes, if you persevere, the extinction burst will end.
I'm not into politics, but I know what's right and what's wrong.
Somebody's making money on the side. It's not me. That's all I got to say.
Is it frustrating?
It's frustrating that you see your president getting richer and richer and the middle class is getting poor.
the areas being most impacted by Donald Trump's government shutdown and programs like SNAP, Head Start, and more expiring is Republican rural areas, Donald Trump is right now screwing over his own voters. And meanwhile, Trump is building a ballroom. He's redoing bathrooms in the White House.
You haven't had the swamp drained. You haven't gotten cheaper gas prices, cheaper grocery prices. Childcare's not more affordable. The war in Ukraine hasn't ended. You were promised no new wars, but we're in one. You haven't gotten your $5,000 Doge check. You haven't seen all of the files. You haven't seen a rest from the files. Some people would say you just got tricked, but I don't think that that's the case. I don't think it was ever about any of those things. What you have gotten that you wanted was the ability to feel connected to a large group of people that now feel comfortable outwardly expressing racism, misogyny, and prejudice at every turn. You're now able to be loud with your hate and comfortable in your day-to-day life expressing your hate of other people, your hatred of other people and other people's lifestyles that don't align with yours. And to the people of color that support this, you think you're different. You think you're a hardworking Christian American and you're not the stereotypical person of color, and you want to separate yourself from those people because you're different. You think you're better than they are. You've worked hard. You aren't living off the government. You're married to your children's mother. But we had a Black family in the White House that was educated, had been working every single day of their adult lives, that were Christian, raising their children to be good humans, and white people still didn't accept them. These people that you're trying to be in a club with laughed at a video of them depicted as monkeys. It was never about the economy. It was never about family values. It was always about a majority of white Americans that felt like their lifestyles were being threatened by diversity. We are not safer in our country right now. We are not wealthier. We are not healthier. Our children are not thriving. This was always about being loud and proud about the people that you would not allow to sit at your table. And now you have that comfort of knowing that 51% of Americans voted and support the same hatred that you do. This is not what I want my account to be, but more people that look like me need to stand up and say something. My kids will know that no matter how white and middle class and average their lives are, that does not make them better than anyone else. And that we can disagree on economic policy. We can disagree on how we personally want to live our lives, but how other people live their lives, as long as it does not infringe upon our rights or affect the way that we live ours, it's none of our business.
I live in a failed Republican state. I'm from Missouri. We've had a Republican supermajority for almost a decade. Under this Republican supermajority, our schools have been defunded, our roads and bridges are crumbling, we don't have access to hospitals in rural areas. There's been 14 that have closed in the last 10 years or so. They give public tax money to charter and private schools. They won't expand Medicaid. We're near last in teacher pay. We're almost dead last in school funding. In Missouri, the wealthy keep getting wealthier. The rest of us, we are number one in something though, COVID and the Delta variant. There are more Missourians hospitalized and in the ICU today than there were a year ago at the height of the pandemic. This is because our lawmakers politicized wearing masks and getting the vaccine. It was the same as usual, politics and money over people. Republicans.
Imagine rural MAGA America going broke after Trump's policy around them. So when I first hear the stories about struggling rural communities, I don't immediately think about Republicans or Democrats. What I think about is hardworking people trying to keep their farms running, their small businesses open, and food on the table. So that is why, in my opinion, this conversation shouldn't be about politics first. So it should be about results. Because many rural Americans strongly supported Donald Trump because they believe his promises would revive small towns, protect American industry, and create better paying jobs. So for many, it wasn't just about politics, it was about hope. So they wanted a future where the communities could finally recover after years of economic decline.
This is why rural MAGA voters lose the most from school vouchers. I'll explain it slowly with some maps and math. Okay, this one is probably going to sting a little because you rural conservatives are being played the hardest in this whole school voucher circus. And I don't think you even realize it. So let's walk through it. School vouchers, they sound great to y'all on TV. Freedom, choice, escape failing schools. Cool. Now, quick question. How many private schools are within 30 miles of your rural town? Exactly. Most rural counties don't have private schools. They don't have charter networks. They don't have choice marketplaces. They have one school. One. And that school is the football stadium, the jobs hub, the community center, the emergency shelter, the tax base anchor. It's the heart of the town. Now here comes the voucher policy. State legislator passes it. Tax dollars get set aside for school choice. Urban, suburban families where private schools actually exist, they use it. Rural districts, they still only have one school, but now their state education budget is thinner. So the rural district loses funding. They don't gain options. That's not choice, that's extraction. Studies from groups like National Rural Education Association have warned that voucher expansion disproportionately harms rural districts because enrollment loss hits harder when you only have one school. You can't consolidate when you're already consolidated. You can't shop around when there's nothing to shop. And here's the brutal math. An urban district loses enrollment, it's annoying. A rural district loses enrollment, that might mean cutting teachers, cutting electives, cutting sports, and combining grades. Small districts operate on very thin margins. There's no cushion. And guess what else rural schools often have more of? Higher poverty rates, higher special education needs, longer bus routes, higher transportation costs. They are already expensive to operate per student. Now reduce funding and what happens? Programs disappear and the politicians say, see, it's inefficient. No, it's isolated. And here's the kicker. Voucher money overwhelmingly goes to metro areas because that's where private schools are. So rural taxpayers help fund private school tuition in cities while their own schools get weaker. You are subsidizing someone else's choice. That's the grift. And when rural schools close, towns shrink, property values drop, young families leave, businesses don't move in. The community erodes. Public schools are economic anchors. You rip them out and the town bleeds. Meanwhile, the same politician who pushed voucher campaigns on protecting rural America, protecting it from what? Its own school?
Frankly, I refuse to care about dead people voting until we've addressed the half-dead people serving in Congress, as well as the half-dead president. Okay, he's brain dead. All right, if you agree, we need to get rid of that criminal in the White House who is destroying everything. Follow me and let's 8647 and get rid of him. Hey, if Democrats were really truly rigging elections, we'd have universal health care, gun control, a Democratic Supreme Court, high-speed rail networks, AI regulations, and affordable college by now. But, gee, and let me see, what else? The Republicans have the House and the Senate, and they have criminal Trump. Jeez, how come we didn't rig it this time? Jeez, I don't know. If you agree, Trump and his administration have to go away. Follow me and let's 8647 and get rid of that criminal. The United States is falling apart. Our produce is parasitic. Our water is full of bacteria and microplastics. Our cattle are being infected with screwworms. Our forests are on fire and our air is toxic. Okay, our communities are also being brutalized by ICE. The cost of everything is skyrocketing while wages are stagnant. And Trump started a war for no reason. And what is Trump doing now? He's crying about an election he lost 6 years ago and wants paper ballots being illegal. Like, he votes by paper ballot. Okay, it's only legal for him, I guess. Okay, if you agree that Trump needs to go away, follow me and let's 8647 and get rid of that freaking criminal.
Some people in those same communities says life hasn't become easier. Rising operating costs, inflation, labor shortage, and uncertainty have made it harder for many farmers and small business owners to stay profitable. Even some have had to cut jobs, scale back production, or even shut down their business entirely. Now, I want to be fair here. I don't believe it is accurate to say every economic challenge facing rural American was caused by Donald Trump policy alone. No, I'm not saying that. But the US economy is shaped by many factors. Global inflation, supply chain disruption, interest rate, weather affecting agriculture. If you check weather affecting agriculture, energy prices, and decisions made by multiple administration and Congress. However, I don't think it is reasonable to ask whether some policies deliver the outcome supporters were expecting. For example, when tariffs are introduced, the goal may be to protect American industry. But if farmers lose export market, it's let me say, for example, when tariffs are introduced, the goal may be to protect American industry. But if farmers lose export market because other country retaliate, or if manufacturers pay more for imported materials, some rural communities can end up facing unexpected financial pressure. That is why, in my own opinion, I think good intentions are not enough. Policies should ultimately be judged by their real-world impact on ordinary families. What concerns me most is that rural American has been struggling for years. Regardless of who occupies the White House, many small towns have lost factories, hospitals has closed, young people continue moving away, and local businesses facing shrinking customers. Those problems have been existed before Donald Trump, and many still exist today. So I don't think the solution is simply blaming one political party or president. I think the solution is, investing in rural America through better infrastructure, stronger support for farmers, expanded broadband internet, vocational education, affordable healthcare, and policies that encourage businesses to invest in smaller communities rather concentrating opportunities in major cities. Most importantly, I think voters, whether they are Republicans, Democrats, or independent, should demand results instead of relying on campaign promises. Political loyalty is important to many people, but it should never become more important than a family's financial well-being. If a policy works, it deserves support. If it doesn't, leaders should be willing to change course. That is how democracies improved. But at the end of the day, I don't see this as a story about MAGA supporters failing. I see this as a reminder that rural Americans deserve policies that genuinely improve their lives, no matter who party is in power. But that is just my own opinion, though. So, do you believe rural American economic struggles are mainly the result of Trump's policy? Or do you think the cause go far beyond any single president? Share your thoughts respectfully in the comment section. Thanks for watching.